Who topped the list of finance chiefs in this year's CFO Journal ranking, and which firms didn't even make the list? You'll be surprised. WSJ's Kimberly Johnson has the skinny, and she joins us now. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
So the number one person is Karen Houget of Macy's. What criteria did she sort of spring to the top for?
We had several companies that made the top of our list. One of the major things we looked at was return on invested capital, the growth in that return over the last 36 months.
So if you'd had a sort of 1% growth in return on, if you had 1% return on capital and then you made it to 10%, that will be a 9% growth. That's sort of what you're saying.
Right, and it was a change, but it was a change in that growth. And so over that period of time, if you continued to grow between your growth rates, sort of a percentage over percentage, you got extra points. We weighted that really heavily.
Okay, and Karen Houget of Macy's, she added a percentage change in return on capital, plus 39%, which really is quite phenomenal there. And she's been with that company. There's a list of the top four there. Macy's has been a turnaround story. It has done very well. It consistently grows things. The role of the CFO is quite important, isn't it?
Yes, it is. We are finding at CFO Journal that CFOs are taking a much more strategic focus to their positions. They're working very closely with the CEO, and they're having a better hand in operations as well. And so with Macy's, that was one of the key things. She's been working very closely with Terry Lundgren, the CEO.
Okay, and there are other metrics too we should point out there, because when you look down the list, you see some of the returns on capital are quite different. What is also notable about this list is that Apple's CFO is not on it. The CFO of Apple, which is a favorite of stock market operators,
right.
It's not there. It's gone. Why is that?
Well, one of our criteria was the CFO had to be in the position for 3 or more years, and so sadly he has not been there that long. And even when we looked at Apple's numbers, their returns didn't grow as much as their peers in their sectors.
So it's the growth, and Apple already has phenomenal everything.
Exactly.
So it's about, even if you were bottom of the class, you could still come, get high up by, just improving.
Right, and that was one of the things we really wanted to look at. We wanted to look at how companies have improved over the last 3 years. We've had somewhat of an economic recovery, and we're continuing to see it with the numbers today. And we wanted to really look at how companies fared there. So it's not to say that the companies that weren't on the list are bad. There are some great companies that weren't on the list. But we definitely wanted to take a look at how things are improving and what that means for all of us.
Now, I worked in a treasury operation, part of the CFO's staff of doing all this stuff, and some companies don't use nearly as much capital as others, do they? I mean, right. Some are very capital heavy. If you've got a wireless telecom company, you need an awful lot of capital, and if you get no customers, it doesn't matter. You still have to invest all that capital, and others don't use hardly any at all.
Right. I mean, one of the things we looked at we looked at it by sector. The companies had to score high in their sector overall, and the sectors are stipulated by S&P, and one can argue that is Constellation Brands, a beer and wine distributor, is that a consumer staple? Some of us would say yes, some of us might say no.
Well, it depends how much you like your drink, doesn't it, really?
Yes.
I know plenty of people who would say that that and coffee would be everything.
Right.
This is great. Kimberly Johnson, we appreciate your time from CFO Journal. And you can check out the CFO Journal rankings on WSJ.com. Do not miss that. There it is on the screen.